Hello, everybody. My name is Zach, aka the Weather Gamer, bringing you WWC Season 4 Week 8 Recap. I am joined by Thriller
Mahaya.
and Zippy.
Hello.
Little throwback to Week 1. I hope that the audio is balanced a little better. We worked on that, and I've been working on that. So hopefully it's a little more balanced. I'm still working on it, but anywho, we're going to start off with our normal stuff, the standings, then we'll go into transactions. This was the last week for transactions. They're officially closed now. So then I kind of want to look at the draft board and see, okay, what never got picked up this season. And then we'll finish off with our kill leaders and that, which I know Zippy has a very special thing he wants to talk about with that. But unfortunately, we are going to start this video with a little bit of sadness. First off, yes, I see Damien doesn't have all his matches played, nor does Suspect. Well, you can't see Suspect because you can only see top 17 right now. Unfortunately, Damien's mother passed away about a week and a half ago. Probably 2 weeks now by the time this video goes up. As such, Jake and I decided to allow him an infinite extension, basically. He'll have until week 12 ends to play out his matches. If he doesn't play them, we'll just forfeit out the rest of his season with whatever he didn't play. Neither Jake nor I agree that, or Jake and I agreed that it would not be right to take the team away from him and kick him out. We'd rather just forfeit him out and allow him to play if he has the desire and the ability to do so, than to replace him. Because Damien's just been such a good friend. Damien's been with me since like day one of YouTube and all that. So unfortunately, there is that sad news for Damien. If you guys want to wish him some well wishes or just let him know, you can either join the server and tell him or message him, or you can post comments on the video down here and I'll be sure to pass them along to him. The other sad issue we have is, as you can see in 6th place, we do not have the Nevada Necrozmas. It is the Atlanta Arceuses. PokeFan is taking over for Photon. Photon is in a situation where he is no longer on Discord. His father is ill. They're not sure if it's with COVID and some other issues with his family that have been going on. And as such, Photon has decided to completely step away from Discord. He's dropped his leagues. He's just dropped off the face of the earth. I can promise you guys that I'm going to do whatever I can to keep in touch with him. And I'll update you guys as we know more. But as of right now, Photon is gone. It's really sad. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it is really sad and really unfortunate because he has such a bright future in Mons and just a bright future in general in front of him. And all I can do is wish him the best and let him know that he's got the entire Weather Gamer family's support behind him when he's ready to come back and all that. So thank you to PokeFan for taking over. That sad business is out of the way. If we do have another dropout in WWC, we're just going to forfeit the matches out because transactions are closed. I'm just going to forfeit those matches out. That's it. So, on a brighter note, sorry to down you guys out there a little bit too. Zippy, you are firmly sitting in 5th right now.
Yeah, tied for 4th with Blaze here, and we actually get to fight this week, so it's going to be battle for 4th place.
Obviously, Ian's still like kicking ass because only Thriller has been able to beat him.
I get bragging rights for the rest of the season.
Oh, hold on, we'll have to see about that. I still have something to say about that. We'll have to see.
You did steal his undefeated title right now, so Thriller is the only one that has routinely been able to beat Ian in WWC. So
Back-to-back seasons, no less, as well.
Savage is in 2nd with a comfortable lead over Checkmate in 3rd. Obviously, we just talked about Blaze and Zippy being tied for 4th. Photon's old team, now PokeFan's team, is in 6th. Slick is back in the playoff picture at 7, and currently hanging on to the 8th seed is Acorn. But there is a very jumbled mess with 4 weeks to go. Nobody is really out of it at this point except Board. I think at 1-7 minus 18, there's not enough time to catch up to slip into one of the 8th seeds. Granted, I believe Rye took a team over with this similar record and managed to win it all, so basically if Board loses, he's probably done, but otherwise every other team does have a viable chance. Those of us sitting at 2-6 are in a world of hurt, though.
Like how you say you give us a chance depending on who we face.
Yeah, I mean, with both Thriller and I still having to play at some point this season, it kind of, like, one of us...
That's a general idea, people. For me and Zach to even have the remote chance to make top 8, I just have to go undefeated.
Yep.
And have some people up top lose. That's our only chance.
Yeah, we're in some trouble, but Kyle is still very much alive with 5 wins. Spare. I always flip those two. Spare is very much alive. Matthias is very much alive. Jake needs some help, but he's alive. Damien's still alive. Nailey's been enjoying a late season or a mid-season revitalize. Huff seems to be starting to get back on his game. Obviously, Thriller and I are tied for 16th, trying to fight to stay out of relegation position. Granted, I'm not allowed to relegate, so... And then Board, Matt, and Suspect currently sitting in the hot seat right now.
And Zach thinks I shouldn't be relegated either.
You would be in the play position. If you end up below me in 17th, you'll end up in the play position. Because for those of you that don't remember or don't know, 19th and 20th automatically relegate to Alpha, and the top 2, the finals teams from Alpha automatically relegate up. 17th and 18th will play the losers of semifinals in Alpha for their life in Gamma. If they lose, they move to Alpha, and the Alpha coach goes to Gamma. If they win, they stay in Gamma. So right now, only 3 are moving because I'm still in 17th.
That's the best part.
You just gotta beat me.
I mean, the two of you are technically tied right now, too, so, like...
The only reason why I'm technically ahead is because I've gotten, when it comes to the win-to-loss ratio...
No, it was pure RNG why you're ahead of me. There's no, like...
there's also the fact I beat Ian week 1, and... So, I'm pulling it.
It's not alphabetical, because otherwise I'd be ahead of you.
That's what I'm saying, that's not alphabetical. It's literally based off of week 1 standings, pretty much.
Maybe. I don't know. So, yeah, there's our standings. Really no surprise in the top. Except Blaze, but I've come to learn that Blaze is actually a very competent battler. I just need to stop judging him by last season. It's a tough, especially with only 8 going in, it's a very tough race, and it's only going to get tighter as the season goes on. I mean, Ian's not even clinched at this point. He needs a win plus a loss by Kyle to clinch, I think. And he actually, even then, might not clinch him.
Yeah, I think it's still too close of a race to call clenches, even with 4 weeks left. Like, maybe we'll have to come back, see what it looks like week 9 recap, but as far as right now is concerned, everything's still up in the air. No one's really out of it.
Yeah. There's some people that are on life support, though. Thriller
well, yeah, absolutely.
So...
Where's our undefeated comeback?
Yeah, give me 1 second here, because I gotta check something. Alright, sorry about that interruption. Just had something come up. So, yeah, we're gonna transition in. So, as we said, everyone's still got a chance, and we'll have to revisit in week 9. So, moving into transactions, since transactions are officially closed now, we do see the Arceus make a bunch of transactions here for taking over the team. That's why there's so many of them. dropping G-Max Hat for G-Max Corviknight, Scissor for Slowbro, Nidoking or Jellicent for Nidoking, Venusaur for Alolan Ninetales, Mesprit for Alolan, Torkoal for Blissey, Coragano for Eldegoss, Rhyperior for Gothorita, and Kangaskong for Alolan Sandslash. So, what do you guys think of PokeFan's team?
Alright, so I would say the original team that was by Photon was still scary enough because he had the G-Max hat, which by far is one of the most deadliest in Draft League. It's just so bulky and so offensive. And the fact that he had like a somewhat miniature Sun team was also really threatening. The new team, he basically went Hail and then just grabbed a lot of, in my opinion, kind of just random things. Which I still agree is a good bulky water if you're not going to go with Jellicent. And he grabs G-Max Corviknight, which, in my opinion, isn't all that good. I mean, it's a good of a move that can get rid of hazards, but I'm not trying to bash the bird. I'm just saying the G-Max bird's not good as a Dynamax bird. Alolan Marowak is very interesting to see. Blissey makes its return after Slick gave it the boot. Eldegoss actually gives him Regen Core with Slowbro, which still Admon. Eldegoss is right. Gothita, I think is a pretty interesting one because it now gives him an Arena Trapper, so with Spell Tag, so it does force prep, which is pretty good. And I'll say, even though Slash is still kind of like Inhale, it can still be a massive threat and a monster. So it's definitely something that people still have to consider because it's still a bit of a weather team, but it's just also got a lot of random pieces to it.
Yeah, and I know one of the things I don't really like here is the doubling up on the Psychic typing with the Slowbro and the Gothorita. Like, there are some typings that you can get away with, but Psychic doubling up with is kind of dicey since there's not really that many Psychic types that are able to resist, or at least negate the weaknesses. So for those two, they're both sharing the same Bug, Dark, and Ghost weaknesses. So we'll just have to see how PokeFan's actually able to do with this new team. I do like the Blissey personally. I was thinking about picking up the Blissey myself, but opted for something else that I'm realizing is not on this list currently. But
wait, did I miss Zippy's transaction too?
Yes, you did miss my transaction. I didn't realize it until I noticed Blissey was here.
Oops.
I did not pick up Blissey, but
make another cut now, less than seconds.
No, I'm doing it live. I'm doing it live so people can see how to league moderation, so people can see how it's done. I'm doing it live. Big free agent. Cincino.
I was also saying, like, the double psychic is really good, but if you really look at now Roki's team, he doesn't really have the best switch into Ghost and Dark types now. Well, yes, he's got Ninetales, but
he's got Hydreigon.
Oh, that'll do it.
Which is it.
More than do it. No, the thing... Okay, so I'm not going to bash PokeFan because I know he's a competent battler. He won NCL Season 5, eliminating me.
He's
a good incredibly
battler.
Deep in Indigo this past season that I played in. So I know he's a very good battler. I'm not going to bash it. It's just a really, really weird team because he's got double Flying type. He's got double Psychic type. He's got double Steel type. It's a hodgepodge team, really. Like, it just looks... And I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks it looks weird on paper.
I mean, don't get me wrong, doubling up on a Pacific type, like double grounds, is usually one of the best things to do in Draft League, because depending on what your double ground core is, it actually checks more things than just electric types for teams and stuff like that. Again, just double Psychic is just not as strong. Like, I can see the reason behind Slowbro, because it replaces the bulk Jellicent, and I like the idea of forced prep with Gothorita. And Gothorita also kind of doesn't do much unless you're the poor victim that was named Huff.
And I will say, Eldergoss is like one of the worst Mons in Draft League. It should not be 8 points. It's a Mon that's going to get re-tiered. Trust me on that.
All this thing does is
doesn't
rapid spin and just slow your speed with Cotton Spore.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. It's such a passive Mon.
It's like a budget Tangrowth with the added bonus of spinning.
But it doesn't
I'll
even
say
have the move
this.
pool that Tang does.
I will say
That's
this:
fair.
it does get access to Cotton Guard, so it can be an annoying defensive grass type.
But it doesn't get
But
toxic
they're
to
so-
even take advantage of that.
I know. I'm just saying. I mean, even like Leech Seed is good. Everyone's gonna be able to switch out on Leech Seed.
Yeah. I don't know. Eldergoss is a terrible Mon, and I will bash Pokefan for drafting Hail. Because Hail is an unweather, and you should feel ashamed of yourself for drafting Hail. That's all I have to say. He's a good guy, a good
Ouch.
battler. I hate Hail. Hail is not a weather.
It's okay to hate Hail, but just don't bash on him for Hail, man.
Hail
I
is
agree.
an
Hail is
unweather.
one of the most is definitely one of the most unused weather teams in history.
Hail needs a lot of help. To be
I mean,
fair.
there's only like 2 slush rushers in Beartick.
There's
and then
Beartick,
Trainer
2
good.
fossils, and Alolan Sandslash. And then
2
Alolan
fossils have
Ninetales
Sludge Rush.
and
Oh, the new
the
gen.
Vanillux line for setters. And Ice Q on Hail is good. Literally everything dies to Steel and Fire types. It's not like Sun, which gets Heliolisk and Venusaur and Charizard and, you know, all these other... I mean, Sun's not great either, but then there's also... like, Rain teams have a variety of different typings on Mons, and Sand by far is the most diverse because it has Stoutland and Lando.
I can vouch for that. Stoutland, the good boy.
Dracozolt, so Hail needs a lot of help, which is why Hail's an unweather, but that's just my personal opinion. So, be interesting to see. He's in a playoff position right now. It'll be interesting to see if he can hold it with this new team. And he plays 3 out of 4 matches are against playoff teams currently, so I don't know. So yes, Zippy, since I kind of forgot about you, let's talk about your transaction here. I also low-key forgot to do host transactions, so you dropped Cincino for Dubwool.
Yeah, the initial draft plan for me was going to be the Ambipom, which I did try to hit up, I believe, Megamat to see if he was willing to trade. He ended up declining, which is understandable. I went in thinking that Ambipom and Cincino were, like, very similar. They are similar typings, similar speed stats. Even similar points here, same abilities as well, yeah, but I'm slowly, as I'm prepping, it's been 8 weeks now, and I've only brought Cincino once. It hasn't really ever been overly great for me to bring, so I just decided to replace it with something that I might actually bring a little bit more. So I searched for another normal type because that's the main thing I wanted, and I was debating between an X-Cloud, but my team's already leading towards the special side, so I wanted something that would be physical. I thought about Linoon, thought about the Blissey as well, but ended up landing on the Dubwool because it can not only be a defensive wall with like rest, body press, cotton guard, does also get access to baton pass as well as sword stance and agility. I know I can't do them both at the same time, but it's going to be interesting to see what I can potentially speed pass into Mega Chomp.
Well, and the other thing, just throwing it out there, because I know Chimecho gets stored power. Cotton Guard, Swords Dance, Dubwool into Chimecho?
Maybe
Let's go.
I'll have to see if I can ever actually really run that, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't drop the Ashgren, but, I mean, you still
I
It's
thought
believe
about
smart
it,
not to do that. He would get shunned by everybody if he did that.
he still
I
believes
thought
that it's a
about it.
decent Mon.
I mean, it's not so much that it's a decent mon. I certainly don't think I'll ever be picking it up again. It hasn't really been hitting kill thresholds that I've been wanting, and before I get the speed, like you said, I am the same speed nearly as my Torn, so it's not as good as I was anticipating, but I took a look through the leftover mons in the draft tier, and I wouldn't be willing to give up a dark type, and there was no dark type that I really felt like picking up. The only thing that was even nearby was like Hoopa, and I wasn't going to double up on psychic types with Chimecho, so I just decided to just stick it out. And I know, especially in my last game against Huff here, the Ashgren could have done work, but so it's just going to maybe be more of a, if I see that it can do well, I'll bring it, but this moral of the story, I likely will not be drafting Ashgren Ninja anymore.
Yeah. That's what I pretty much thought. I am really glad that you picked up Double, and I know Box will be happy about that. That thing, I've seen that thing never die. Like, rest, sleep talk, body press, and cotton guard. As long as the opponent doesn't have a ghost type, like, plus bulletproof, nothing ever kills that thing. Plus it has Fluffy, which I believe is, what, double defense?
Gives it a fire type weakness, basically.
I think it's half damage from contact moves, and then you do get a fire weakness on top of it.
So, I mean, you're already
yeah, I also really wanted to use it because I saw Wolf Glick use it in, I believe, his WBE team. That's partially why I wanted to try out the Orbital as well, but a couple people in this call decided to play Keep Away from me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So I decided let's try a different Wolfmon instead. So here I am with the Double. So like I said, I'm excited to see what I can actually do with it.
See if Double gets you the dubs.
You never know. It's right there in the name.
That was a reach of a joke. I'm sorry. That was just a...
I know.
It's right there in the name, though.
So the last of the transactions for the season will go to Huff, dropping Buzzwolf for the Trashmon that is Nihilego, dropping Cobalion for Fortress, dropping Snorlax for Exploud, and dropping his child, the Moon, for Heracross. Heracross is definitely better than Buzzwole in my opinion. Fortress gives him...
Rapid Spin, Toxic Spikes, Stealth Rocks.
Gives him more hazards.
The whole 9 yards.
Nihilego gives him more hazards and a Spadef wall. And Exploud just screams at you. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about these transactions.
For me, Nihilego, I think he needed good special, because I think one of his main special ways was either with his Lottie or a Clef. Nihilego gives him a grounded poison type, which I don't know if he already had. It gives him something to absorb Toxic Spikes now.
I mean, Tentacruel is a massive Spadef wall as well.
Yeah, Tentacruel. I thought he had that. I had another poison type or something like that as well, but Nihilego gives him a good poison type now that is more specially offensive versus Tentacruel, which is a little more physically offensive. But it gives people more prep to have to worry about Nihilego other than Tentacruel. With Fortress, I don't know, I've only used Fortress like one time and I've barely brought it to games, but it is really bulky. Like this thing, and the fact that it also getting Volt Switch really helps Huff in a way that have another one that pivots out. Exploud, there is no real safe switching to choice specs Exploud at all, especially Boom Burst. Get webs, like if you got webs a team, choice specs Exploud, there's no safe switching.
Well, and Exploud also has, it might not have it yet, but I think it gets Hydro Pump too.
Hydro Pump's in the DLC, and I would agree, Heracross, it's definitely been on bucket list of mons I personally want to eventually try, because it is a powerhouse. Like Moxie, Guts, like Heracross can single-handedly win games by itself. I just don't understand why he had to give up his child after his child put in work for his team.
I guess he didn't maybe want to double up on rock types if he was planning on picking up the Nihilego, which I think it has more merits than people give it credit for, especially Beast Boost is still, if you're able to find kills with its not the greatest, but still decent move pool, you can still try to sweep from the. Hey, I heard that.
We all heard that. That wasn't a fake sneeze. That was a fake sneeze, young man.
And likewise, I do see that the Heracross can do a lot of things with the Sword Stance or the Guts, but it might just be a difference in playstyle. I would still personally have kept the Buzzwole, just have such a thick physical wall to go well with some of these other special walls. Like I feel like it would have paired well with the Nihilego, like almost seamlessly. Of they're both able to kind of take hits for the other. Especially Buzzwell having access to Roost, so it is able to stay healthy as compared to Heracross, who will be chipped down some. But I am happy to see Fortress get picked up again after getting 6-0'd by Zardex week 1. I did have to kind of reassess what I needed on my team, and unfortunately, I had to part ways with Fortress. I do love the Mon. I didn't understand it at first, but it clicked recently for me, and I think Mount Silver I ended up doing work with it, so I had to part ways with it because I already had Skarmory and decided to go with my Wishfish instead.
I
So
hate your
yeah,
stupid
I'm just
Wishfish.
I love the Wishfish. It's I've missed it since PCF season 3, so I'm just happy to see Fortress be on a team at the end of all this, though. I do not like seeing the Cobalion go down. I think Cobalion really underrated Mon with uh fast Swords Dance, Rock Polish, Volt Switch for not all at the same time, of course, but Volt Switch for the momentum, a rocker as well, and I just feel like Cobalion really deserves to be on someone's team. It is sad to see it go, but for Fortress, I think I'll let it slide.
Yeah. So, those are the transactions. There won't be any more transactions the rest of the season. So I wanted to take a look personally at the tier list and see some things that hadn't been drafted or are available at the end of all of this, and just kind of see WWC's normal, shenanigans. I will say, because of the fact that Gigantamax are here, some of these megas that are still on the board, not super surprised by anymore, but there's still quite a bit that is.
I'll say this, even with Gigantamax in that, the fact that Mega Venusaur is still on this board
Yeah,
is
that thing should
really
have been drafted a long time ago.
I feel as
Savage
though
had it and then he dumped it.
I think it's a little overpriced at 16. I know it is really fat, and the only way you can take it out is really with psychic and flying types, thanks to the thick fat. But I think 16 points was just a little bit more than people were willing to pay for it. I know myself personally, I looked at it and just decided against it because it was just a little too expensive for my liking.
Well, that's where retiering post DLC will come in handy, and it won't just be Jake and Zaki and I tiering.
I think like stuff like Gmax Hat, which now officially becomes undraftable, a little surprising as well because I think that by far any Gmax that should have been drafted, this thing should have at 100% because that get this thing in Trick Room with a Life Orb, there is no safe switching with this Mon. It's so freaking destructive. And the fact like things like Hoopa, which understandably kind of don't get drafted. I mean, without hidden power, it does make things like Hoopa more of a threat in this gen, but still, in paper thin defense, kind of makes it why I wasn't drafted.
Yeah, it's. I think the main thing for it is not only the fact that it's slow, but also the fact that it has that near one shot to U-turn, which is such a prevalent like token of the draft metagame that I just think people aren't willing to have it on their team and just have to run Tangaberry every week with it.
I
It's
think
true.
one for me that's super surprising, and they're actually two of them right next to each other. Gengar and Megados. Like, Megados just got exponential. Gyarados in general just got exponentially better this generation with Power Whip and some of the other buffs it got, and Gengar with Nasty Plot. It's really surprising to see that neither one of these two came off the board either.
I can agree with the Gyarados thing and the Gengar. Gengar was already kind of like a powerhouse to begin with specs and everything like that. But now the thing they've got nasty plot, this just makes Gengar have literally zero switch-ins. Like nothing can switch into Gengar at all now with nasty plot. And Gyarados, like I said, like one of the things that Gyarados had to struggle the most against the times, whether it was regular or it was Mega, was occasionally those really bulky water types. But now with Power Whip, things like Quagsire are no problem. Seismitoad is not a problem. Any water absorb mom basically became no problem. So that I had to leave Ferroform behind because that's one of the mons I was really actually looking forward to drafting, but I had to change up the team for the better, so forgive me, Ferroform.
Actually, standard Gyarados didn't get drafted either.
That one Because there was no Dynamaxing, so.
I guess maybe with the increase of certain potentially broken fossil mons running around Dracovish, I guess maybe some people
Yeah.
opting their water type to go as a more of a water absorb mon instead. I know personally I do also love up the top of 14 points. I do love Azumarill as a mon, but I thought about drafting it, ended up opting against it as I didn't want to double up on fairies too early in my draft. As I think I also I with the first pick on the Ash Greninja, I didn't want both my water types. I'm a fan of double water, but if they're both doing the same thing, I'm not a fan. Like what was it last? My Alpha Championship, I had Rotom Wash and Jellicent.
Mm-hmm.
Rotom Wash it tends to be a little bit more offensive, while the Jellicent is going to be there to be the wall. So it was just a bit of like a duality with the typings, and with Ash Gren, it just wasn't in the cards for Azumarill outside of maybe a Parish song set of my own.
Yeah, and I think the only other two that really stand out to me, anyways, just scrolling through the tiers here. Certainly the Mimikyu not being drafted or picked up at any point, and Kaparaja as well, because Kaparaja is actually a very good. It's just a good mon in general. It hits extremely hard with sheer force, and
I think it's one of the same things as the Mega Venusaur for the both of those. Is just probably for 12 and 11 points, that's just a little too expensive. Especially Kaparaja having what, a base 30 speed.
yep.
So spending 11 points on that's a really big commitment of wanting to run Trick Room, but maybe not having the not really wanting to actually run Trick Room with the entire team as compared for a single mon. But Mimikyu is surprising. I guess the nerf to Disguise this generation might be the reason for it going undrafted.
Yeah, it really did screw Mimikyu over that 25%.
I think it's only an
And
eighth, so I think
it's
it's
like a
only.
10th or something like that.
Pretty sure it's an eighth. I think it's only 12.5. Regardless, you're not able to run Sash and get 2 sword stances up for free.
Yeah. And I would say for the Kaparaja, I'm not fully surprised he didn't get drafted, just because if you really look at the stats, it has to really rely on being like assault vested most of the times, or pretty much run max defense, max HP, like that to be physically bulky and stuff. That's where when you look at G Max Kaparaja, it's more of a wall because it can get the boosted defenses versus something like Kaparaja, normal.
Right, and actually, looking at it a little closer, speak of the devil, Jellicent didn't get drafted.
It
I was not aware of this.
it was drafted. It was dropped.
Oh, right.
Photon
Okay,
had it, and
right.
then it was
Photon.
Photon's
Zippy,
replacement dropped it.
Okay, I'm
have
back.
you not been taking the sips of the special juice or something? Because we kind of were talking about transactions a little
I
while ago.
I just forgot. We're talking about what is on the board right now, and I saw Jellicent on the board, and I just got sad.
Well,
I felt the
also
need to bring
it's
it up.
like quarter to 11 Zippy's time, so
I mean, I'm not that tired.
Yeah. I will say this: I'm actually a little surprised to see Phalanx on the board still too.
yeah.
We
I
did
think it's a
allow
little too high priced.
retreat, right?
But, yeah, no retreats allowed, but I do think it's just
I was gonna
a little
say,
high
like,
priced.
Like maybe for the pricing, yes, but still, the fact that this mon was allowed its signature move, I still think would have been viable for a pickup because Filings in general is not the best fighting type. To have like a signature of like just like how Komao has a signature move in Klinger's Soul Blaze, an actual move
Yeah.
at me there. But it's just like probably based on the pricing and probably just the stats, and plus Filings does kind of have a limited move pool as well. Like for your bug move, it's either first impression Mega Horn, your dark move Sprout Chop, which isn't bad. Then you got limited fighting moves. Then you have like only Iron Head or Poison. I think I got Poison Jab.
Yeah, it does that
Maybe.
poison job.
I
I
mean,
guess it's just people aren't willing to put the commitment in of, okay, I'm going to boost my stats, but now I can't switch out. not being able to switch out and
And that's another thing
drafting
too.
and everything.
It's like you're
just a little
giving
much.
yourself, you're basically arena trap or shadow tag yourself instead of someone else's. So
Also,
it does.
it's just a lot of things going into it. One, probably like you said, the no retreat, not really wanting to lock themselves in, but also I do think it's a little bit high on this list. 11 points as well.
We weren't sure when we were tiering the Gen 8 Mons, like...
That's fair, and it was probably more close to when everything first dropped, so everything hot and fresh. So it's now that things have cooled off a little bit, we can kind of see where things have actually landed, and I think Failing's landed a little too far up the mountain.
Yeah.
I've been noticing like something like PZ obviously got dropped, but still like the fact it's still on the board and after no one wanted to pick it up is I think I was like, I mean, yes, it's kind of not a broken normal type, but having download, adaptability, threatening mon, specs, scarf. Something else I was kind of shocked is Noivern. I think Noivern's like one of the most phenomenal dragons to have in the game because well, risk.
Trash.
Easily no. Hey, you draft it again, just like you did with Guja, you will learn to love it.
If you say so, but...
Yeah, Noivern, the addition of heavy duty boots definitely gives Noivern more of a good, solid defense role now. Instead of having to be this specs user, this choice scarf potential user, like this and that. It actually now gives it a good, reliable defensive option. And it did get Dragon Dance, so there is potential viability of Dragon Dance, as we've seen with like things like Hydreigon. It actually can rock a good Dragon Dance set. So even though Noivern doesn't have great attack, it can potentially do benefit from stuff like Dragon Dance. But like I said, the main reason I love this thing would be because of the Frisk and also Defog, a good reliable Defogger as well. Something like that still on the board's a little shocking.
Yeah, maybe. It was drafted, though, so... I'm going to transition us out of this, just because we're at 37 minutes already, so we're going to run through the kill leaders here and then jump out. As far as kill leaders go, Melmetal Gmax still number 1, Gmax Grimmsnarl still number 2, Gmax Charizard is still number 3. Those three have not changed. However, Zippy, what's this I see in 9th? Tied for 8th.
That would be the Florgs. Match versus Huff. It ended up picking up a whopping 5 kills, and on top of having another 5 already under its belt over the course of the season, it's just arrived here at 9th with 10 kills.
So...
I am a lot happier about this than I'm letting on. I
can just... I hear it in your voice. You're just, like, beaming from ear to ear.
You caught me on that one. It's just entertaining to see such a defensive mon be up here with the likes of all these heavy hitters, and then there's just a flower.
Yeah, it's always funny to me just because, like, WWC is historically known for Huff putting in random mons like Seismitoad and Alolan Raticate. He's normally the one that puts it in there. But for you to get Florges in the top 10, like...
I mean, technically it was still partially Huff's fault.
This is very fair. It is Huff's fault for putting this thing in the top 10.
So I can't take full credit for this. So yeah, we'll consider this maybe a secondary Huffmon.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, like I've been saying all season, eventually things would start to shake out, and you'd kind of see the mons that you'd expect to be at the top. Gmax Melmetal, Caught Fire, Gmax Grimmsnarl's been here all along, Charizard. Gardevoir is still a real surprise to me that it's doing so well. Garchomp doesn't shock me. Mega Arrow in Ian's hands doesn't shock me. Victini's always historically been a very good mon. Darmanitan's finally on the board. Like up here, Slick's getting hot with that. Jirachi, Kartana, Scissor, Mega Mawile, the mons that just don't die because there's no hidden power fires. Gmax Charizard coming on hot after being picked up. Hydreigon's still hanging out. Melmetal's finally coming up. Like, again, Mew being outside the top 20, as is Lele, as is Cinderace, as is Dracovish and Dragapult. Still some interesting mons that are hanging out here that you'd expect maybe to be in the top 10. But no, this is kind of returning more to the norm in my opinion. Other than a Florges.
Other than the Florgs. I do also like the Gardevoir up here as well. It just shows that, like, even though it's not a mon that you would think maybe to be up there, in the right hands, anything can really just click and just kind of open its third eye and start running through teams.
Yeah, some of those stuff is always a big surpriser and stuff. Like for me, things like Runa Rodriguez and stuff like that are not really made to be kills. Yeah, they get 4 kills and stuff like that. And my good boy Dracovish, he's trying. He's really trying his best.
I mean, in
Yeah.
the top 25, there's 8 fairies. It's just...
Well, to be honest, fairy typing was in back in the early gens was from Gen 6 to onward. They're just really hard typings to really beat. Like if you don't have the best steel or fire or even poison type to counter them, fairies kind of just run house on a lot of teams, and it's also depending on what fairy it is as well.
Yeah, the top 25 is predominantly steel and fairy types, so...
Yeah, steel types have always just been one of the. It also just depends on what steel type it is. Like, it's no surprise, like, you look at something like Melmetal and it's going to be in the top 10.
I mean,
especially when you let
Max and standard Melmetal, it's got 27 kills between the two of them.
Yeah. I mean, like, think of, like, Banded Melmetal. Like, there's no switches to that thing.
I've still yet to bring Banded.
Disappoints us.
I actually saw what made a lot of sense. I'm surprised more people haven't been running it. A lot of people against Melmetal will end up bringing the Rocky Helmet in order to counter it with the double Iron Bash, proccing it twice. I saw a Protective Pads Melmetal the other day, and that just made a lot of sense. Just as a way to stop that Rocky Helmet chip damage. It was also into a Ferrothorn with Rocky Helmet, so it was doubly helpful.
That's
Give Zach ideas.
Ooh, I have a new toy for my
He got the idea with Lightbird Sunny Day and it worked, so don't give him another idea.
I have a new toy to play with.
You have fun with that one.
Protective Pad. I didn't even know those were still in. Granted, we're on Showdown, so they're still viable, but.
They're still.
I forgot those were even items.
A lot of people do apparently. I did too for the longest time, and I was watching. I don't know. I think I was watching like tour battles somewhere, and I just saw it come out, and I was like, "Wait, how have more people not been using this?"
I don't know, but that's good tech to think about in future.
So hey,
shenanigans.
Yeah, you've heard the good word here. Keep spreading it.
Mm-hmm. So as far as the full statistics, the kill-death ratio, I mean, Charizard's now slipped out of the top 3 for Arrow just because it picked up an extra death, but your top 3 really aren't that much different. But oh hey, Flora just moved up from 9th to 7th.
Yay!
So
I'm still super happy about that. It's just so out of place.
One of these things is not like the other. You have Rotom in the top 20 as well.
Do I?
Yeah, in from a differential standpoint, Rotom's at 14th.
Yeah, the only person able to take it down is, Thriller with the Azelf.
What Azelf? Let's go.
Only thing that's been able to kill it just because I let that happen, but...
The only one that can beat Ian, and apparently can only one that beats a normal Rotom.
It's an underrated mon.
Don't sleep on Rotom Spoop.
Exactly.
And then the last statistic that I've got pulled up here is the deaths per match. So, G-Max Charizard leading the way. It has yet to die a single time it has come.
Would have died in a certain week if I didn't miss.
Would have died in a certain week if I had just played with my head instead of my
heart.
Anger. I mean, there's a lot of really surprising mons with the death percentage that Jellicent, Pex, your fish, Vape.
just a-
These are
it's a
historically defensive mons, and they're up in the top percentage for not dying.
Yeah, like 4 bulky water types really close together. That's maybe a testament to maybe how Gen 8 Draft League shaking out?
Bulky
Who
water
knows?
types are the new wave.
Maybe. But I mean, hey, I will take 3 Mons in the
They
top 10
know
here.
the way, though.
Yeah, so that was just one of those random stats that I found that I thought was kind of interesting to see. Charizard's got a 0% death rate, so. But yeah, really interesting to see all these water types. And yes, Zippy, you have 4 in the top 12.
And then, yeah, Skarmory too.
Skarmory's
Wow.
in there, so. And Florges at 24, so you have a fifth of the death percentages are yours in the
My
top.
walls do
25.
not die, except for Rotom and Infernape, because they are not walls.
Pretty much. So, I do want to thank Zippy and Thriller for being here. I know this video ran a little long, but that's typical. So,
I mean, we had a new segment than usual.
Need the views. We must make long videos. That's how you get the views.
no, that is not. I've learned that. It's not how you get views.
You will, trust me.
So, but yeah, thanks guys for hanging out. We're gonna get out of here, and I will see you for the Week 9 battle, and then we'll see who we've got on for the Week 9 recap. So, see you guys.
Yeah, Godspeed, everybody.
They cut us off.